In 1945, a man watched atomic fire consume two cities. He quoted ancient scripture, "Now I am become death, destroyer of worlds." His name was Robert Oppenheimer. He helped create the most destructive weapon in human history, and afterward, when guilt consumed him, his former colleagues called him weak. They continued building bigger bombs.
Here's the uncomfortable question nobody wants to ask. Were they right?
Friedrich Nietzsche died in 1900, his mind destroyed by syphilis, alone and largely forgotten. But before madness took him, he committed what many consider philosophy's greatest crime. He told powerful people exactly what they wanted to hear. He said morality was invented by the weak to control the strong, that good and evil are just tools of manipulation, that truly powerful minds see beyond these childish constraints. And here's what makes this dangerous. He wasn't entirely wrong. Think about it. Every moral system in history has one thing in common. It asks the powerful to restrain themselves. Don't steal even though you could. Don't kill even though you're stronger. Don't lie even though it would benefit you. Share your wealth. Consider others. Sacrifice. From the perspective of pure power, this sounds insane. Why would a lion follow rules made by gazelles? This is the seductive core of what philosophers call moral nihilism, the idea that morality is just a social construct, a useful fiction, a cage we've built to trap human potential. Let's steelman this argument. Let's take it seriously for a moment, because powerful people throughout history certainly have. Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon and destroyed the Roman Republic. Napoleon crowned himself emperor. Steve Jobs was famously difficult, manipulative, and ruthless, and he changed the world. Elon Musk openly mocks regulatory agencies. These people didn't get where they are by following all the rules. Psychologists have studied this. There's research showing that people in power exhibit less empathy, break social rules more often, and show more narcissistic traits. One famous study found that people driving expensive cars were significantly more likely to cut off other drivers and ignore pedestrians. Is this just correlation, or does power reveal something true about morality, that it's a luxury only the weak can afford to indulge? Here's the steelman argument. Morality evolved in small tribes where reputation mattered and everyone was roughly equal. But we don't live in that world anymore. In our world, the person who hesitates loses. The company that plays fair gets crushed by competitors who don't. The politician who refuses dirty tactics watches corrupt opponents win. Maybe, the argument goes, morality is literally counter-evolutionary at the top. Maybe it's a handicap you can only afford when you're not actually competing at the highest levels.
So if this is true, why isn't the world run entirely by sociopaths? Well, plot twist, maybe it is. But here's where the powerful minds beyond morality theory falls apart completely. And it falls apart not because it's immoral, but because it's stupid. Let me explain through a concept called game theory. In the 1980s, Robert Axelrod ran a famous tournament. He invited game theorists to submit strategies for the prisoner's dilemma, a scenario where you can either cooperate or betray. The powerful mind move is obvious. Always betray. Take what you can. But that strategy lost, badly. The winner was the simplest strategy submitted, tit for tat. Cooperate first, then mirror whatever the other player does. It wasn't the most aggressive strategy, it wasn't the most clever, it was moral. Here's what Nietzsche and his followers missed. Morality isn't a constraint on power, it's a technology for generating power. Cooperation is how weak individuals become strong groups. Trust is how you build organizations larger than yourself. Reputation is how you make deals without contracts. The truly powerful don't transcend morality, they weaponize it. Look at the actual elite. The Rothschilds built their banking empire on something radical: keeping their word, always, for generations. Warren Buffett's competitive advantage? A reputation for integrity so strong that people take deals with him they'd refuse from others. The mafia, literally organized crime, has codes of honor more strict than most legitimate businesses. Why? Because trust scales. Betrayal doesn't.
So here's the actual lie, and it's not the one you think. The lie isn't that morality exists. The lie is that you can escape it. Every person who thinks they're beyond morality is actually just blind to the moral system they're trapped in. The ruthless CEO thinks he's transcended morality, but he's actually just worshiping a different god, shareholder value. The dictator thinks he's beyond good and evil, but he's enslaved to the logic of power, constantly watching for the knife in the dark. Nietzsche called this the will to power, but he missed something crucial. The will to power is itself a moral framework. It's not freedom from values, it's slavery to one value above all others. And here's the tragedy. The people who think they're too powerful for morality usually aren't powerful at all. They're just afraid. Afraid that if they show kindness, it'll be exploited. Afraid that if they play fair, they'll lose. Afraid that if they admit morality matters, they'll have to confront every cruel thing they've done. Real power is having the strength to be moral when you could get away with being immoral. Real power is building systems that don't require you to be a tyrant to maintain them. Real power is creating value so undeniable that you don't need to cheat. The weak tell themselves they're beyond morality because they're not strong enough to practice it. So yes, morality is a lie, but only if you're not paying attention. It's a lie if you think it's about cosmic justice or divine command or absolute truth written in the stars. But it's the deepest truth if you understand it as the technology that turns individuals into civilizations, that makes coordination possible, that allows strangers to trust each other enough to build something larger than themselves. The question isn't whether you're beyond morality. The question is whether you're smart enough to use it. Oppenheimer was wrong. He hadn't become death. He'd become something much more human, responsible. And that, ultimately, is what separates powerful minds from merely dangerous ones.
What do you think? Are powerful people beyond morality or trapped in a different version of it? Let me know in the comments.